Remember when we were talking about dividing radicals, and I was telling you about the old math guys back in the day that were like, you can't, we should have it where no radical should be in the denominator. And the other guys were like, yeah, that's a great idea. Anyways, technically for answers, we can't have a radical or a square root in the bottom, in the denominator of a fraction. So for example, write down this example, square root of 3 divided by the square root of 8. What they were talking about is that the square root of 8 is in the denominator. Now, the way we get around that is multiplying by the top and bottom, by whatever our issue is, whatever the problem is. So the square root of 8 right now is what's bothering us. So I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by the square root of 8. Get a better mark. So let's look. Remember at the end of our multiplying radicals video, I'm looking at the bottom first. Square root of 8 times square root of 8 is just 8. So that helps. And then on top, I have square root of 3 times square root of 8. Well, that's just the square root of 24. The last thing I do is see if I can simplify anything or break things down and reduce any fractions. So when I break down 24, 6 and 4, 2 and 2, 3 and 2, I have a pair of 2's, and then I have basically 3 and 2 left over. So for my getting closer to my answer, I would have 2 square root of 6 on top. On the bottom I would have 8. All I did was simplify this radical up here to get to this. Now last step, I need to know if I can reduce these fractions at the end. 2 over 8 is the same as 1 over 4. So really I have 1 square root of 4. Or excuse me, got ahead of myself. 1 square root of 6 divided by 4. Can you read that? The answer is 1 square root of 6 over 4. One example that I'm going to have you try. Write it. Start your sheet. Let's do 4 times the square root of 5 divided by the square root of, let's do 3 times the square root of 10. Okay, first thing, if you want to get out your notes, that'd be a great idea. The first thing I do is make sure it's written as a radical over a radical, which I have here. And the second thing I do is multiply by whatever. I check for any shortcuts. I don't see any perfect squares. But then I multiply the top and the bottom by whatever my issue is. Right now my issue is square root of 10. So I multiply the top and bottom times square root of 10. It's called rationalizing. So if I look on top here, I have 4 times the square root of 5 times the square root of 10. Answer, 4 times the square root of 50. On the bottom, I have 3 times the square root of 10 times the square root of 10. Well, these two things multiplied are just going to give me 10. Then I still have to multiply by 3, so that's 30. So really I'm dealing with 4 square root of 50 divided by 30. But remember, my last couple steps are see if I can break things down. 10 times 5, 5 and 2. So I have a pair of 5's. 5 is going to go on the outside. There's already a 4 on the outside. So I'll have 20 on the outside and 2 on the inside. then I still have 30 in the denominator. So last thing, I can simplify 20 over 30, reduce that to 2 over 3. So my answer then is 2 times the square root of 2 over 3. Dividing radicals. And we won't go through this one, but if you're given a radical over a fraction like that, remember, write it like this first, square root of 3 over square root of 5. Then from there start doing the exact steps that we did above. But if you have a radical over a fraction, it's the same thing as radical on top, radical on bottom. Good luck.